PVC Podcast Crew. We in effect like always. You see, we missing one today, but don't worry about him. He's at work right now. We'll be outside Sunday afternoon, of course. But for this particular run, you know how we do. Hold on. Am I running? Wait a minute. Yeah, I am running. We running. So I make sure we running. Make sure we good.
Are we recording or are we live?
Yeah, we're recording. Okay. We're recording. We ain't gonna go live. We'll probably go live next week. We'll work on that.
All right.
But in the car, we in the car show today, so don't mind us. I got my man Vic, of course. Vic running my running mate, of course. He got him in the building with us, of course. You got me, Cam, aka Nerd Boy Fresh.
Freaky.
You know, follow me on the gram and all that good stuff. So we're gonna do something a little bit different today. We're gonna talk about some gaming stuff. There's been lots of popping. Even when I was riding up here, I was in the mid-flight watching the independent game conference where they were showing like a buttload of indie games. I'm gonna tell y'all something, all of which is fire. But we're gonna table that for a little bit. I'm gonna let my man Vic get into the topic today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday to all those who are watching this on a Friday. If not, well, still glad to have you with us. Today we're doing something a little bit different. As you can see, we're not completely PVC today. It's just VC, Viet Cong.
VC as in virtual currency. We're going to talk about that down the line too.
But in all seriousness, our brother Paul right now, he's making stuff happen. That boy's working hard.
True indeed. Shout out to my boy Peebo. He'll be outside Sunday with us.
We're very proud of him.
Indeed.
You know, we understand that he's busy. But, you know, we want to keep content flowing with the PVC, so that's why we're doing this first ever 30-minute little segment. We don't know if this is going to be on shorts yet, but at the very least, we're just shooting a slice here because we really want to talk about gaming. We haven't had a chance to talk about it in a while. I mean, for a myriad of reasons, but there's been a lot going on in gaming, especially when it comes to the corporations that run it.
True.
Some of it good, most of it bad, but still. We wanted to touch on that. And Cameron, do you want to lead us in or shall I?
Go ahead, lead them in.
So first, I want to talk about Xbox.
Okay.
Now, I know some of you who are listening are gamers as well, or at the very least use that as a form of relaxation. I mean, who doesn't? It's still relatively affordable. Somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Depending. Anyway.
It is kind of.
Well, I want to talk about Xbox because speaking of affordability, they actually did something that is so unheard of. It's shocking. They lowered the prices. Or better yet, they lowered the price for Game Pass. Because not that long ago, it was $30 a month. $30 is a lot of cash for a subscription of games that you will not even play 90% of. Not even 95% of. So what they did now was not only did they drop the price down to $23.99 with the big kicker of all new Call of Duties aren't going to be there day one, which, I mean, let's be honest, that's not much of a loss considering what modern Call of Duty is.
True.
I mean, more people are giving Modern Warfare a 2019 run. I know I am.
True.
Right now compared to like Black Ops 7 and stuff. Not that they're the worst games ever, but, I mean, dude, they're not good. And they're not worth a $30 a month Game Pass.
Well, so I'll bring this to the conversation.
What?
So think about this. What is the highest price singular subscription base that you have out of the major stuff? Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Game Pass, PlayStation Plus. I'm trying to think of what else would be on there. Amazon. Amazon Prime is probably the most expensive, but it's probably the most versatile. But next under that, well, currently as it would stand, would be Game Pass. At $30 is a pretty high tag, considering that it's just literally a game catalog that you don't own, by the way. You rent, more or less. Don't get it wrong, it's very good at what it does. I'll give Game Pass that. But $30 was a high price tag. Now, is the value, I think the question is the value of Call of Duty worth the extra $10 in essence? That's really what we're talking about. And that's really the question.
Truthfully, no, it ain't. Because they even said it themselves. Call of Duty games are going to be on there a year later after release, right? That means practically every Call of Duty on there is going to stay on there. So not much is changing right now. And I think people are pretty much tired of Call of Duty at the moment. So it's not really a loss for most people involved. I just think it's the best way they're doing it. They're taking a much more modular approach where basically you select what you want and then that's what you pay. So like you say you want X amount of games per month, that's how much you're going to pay per month. If I understood what they were talking about in the report correctly, which I think is the best way to handle it, is just basically Build-A-Bear, but except with your gaming subscription.
Now, here will be my concern, and I know it's kind of a concern, but not necessarily at the moment, but probably down the line. Does this price drop affect other first-party games? Now, the real question is, like down the line, the next big one should probably be what? Gears of War is the next major from the Microsoft team in its entirety. So does it affect that game? Because that's the real question. Now, if you said, well, Gears of War E-Day is going to be a year later just to run it on Game Pass, I don't know if I am 100% cool with that. Because I think Microsoft needs a AAA title to sit there to make Game Pass feel more viable.
Well, from what they said, it's just going to be Call of Duty that they're pulling from it for day ones. They didn't mention anything about Gears of War E-Day, and truthfully, I think they'd be shooting themselves in the foot if they did do that. So I'm 99% positive it's going to be a day one Game Pass game, because, I mean, let's face it, it's going to be the triumphant return, hopefully, of the Gears of War franchise, because we haven't had a proper Gears of War feeling game in quite a while. Don't get me wrong, 4 and 5 were fun in some aspects, but they were not Gears of War in neither feeling nor tone. It was too clean. It was too... I mean, all the robots, and then just basically a rehashing of the Locust, where it's the Swarm, when you already had the Lambent in 3, and all this stuff. They're not terrible games, but I would be hard-pressed to call them actual Gears of War games. Actually, they didn't even call them Gears of War games. They called Gears 5, Gears 5. They took out the Gears of War time. They just called it Gears 5.
True.
So, I mean, that kind of tells you a lot about that game. And thankfully, they're going all the way back because they don't know how to go forward with the story that they made, because they realized, I mean, I'm sorry, but it was buns, straight up, steaming. And
so, I mean, I could tell you right now, the last Gears game that I played was actually Gears of War Tactics was the last one I actually played. And I actually liked that. And that one was...
Well, you're a masochist.
I know, but I like turn-based games. That's just how I get down. But be it as it may, I like that version of it. But two things. One, they need to come out with a new one. Two, Microsoft really need this, or they need a major title to land. I think that's really what this is coming down to for Game Pass, and probably Microsoft in its conglomerate of studios in its entirety. You know, Microsoft went through this big rampage of trying to gobble up every single, major development team that they get their hands on. Bethesda, Obsidian, Activision, Blizzard, they were snatching up people. They're snatching up a lot of, independent teams, like some little small teams, to get some of their independent games out there. They're snatching up teams left and right.
They were treating it like a buffet, man.
But, they still haven't had that one game in the last, we'll call it 3 years?
That's being nice.
I'm just saying, they haven't had a major title land to the point where it would even have remote consideration to be in a Game of the Year conversation. So when you rattle off the Microsoft titles, what are we talking about? Starfield, Fallout, Avowed, what else? What else is on there? All the, Call of Duties, of course.
Again, Gears of War.
Gears, Halo. Forza, which I'm gonna strike my comment. I'm gonna take one thing back. Forza was in the conversation for Game of the Year a couple of years ago. Forza Horizon 5, that was in the conversation for Game of the Year. So let me slightly retract that. That was 2 years ago, maybe 3. Maybe it's 3 years ago, maybe it's 2 years ago. I want to say 2 years ago. That was in the conversation, but that was the only game that landed. The only one that even people even remotely talked about. And don't get it wrong, it was fire. Oh, Microsoft Flight Simulator was another one that you put in that conversation.
I mean, you want to talk about my goodness, you want to talk about a crap show. I mean, just look at how Halo Infinite was handled. That was supposed to be Microsoft's massive flagship title. That was supposed to be the title that was just going to carry them through this generation. Have people, you were going to be like, oh, dude, you got to get an Xbox. Why? Because Halo Infinite's on there, dude. You got to give it a run, or at least get a PC. It was supposed to be the game, and sadly, Infinite was very finite.
Well, yeah, because Infinite went through so much turmoil just to get off the ground that it became a problem. And when it became just an okay game, it became a big problem for Xbox. It was kind of like the telling story going forward for this console generation for Xbox. Halo was the one that was supposed to usher in all these other titles that, Microsoft's like, look, we're going to give it AAA after AAA after AAA after AAA. These were all supposed to kind of line up in a row. And it was supposed to start with Halo, and it was supposed to end with probably the next Fallout that's supposed to be dropping out next year or somewhere in that pocket. None of which landed. Like I said, Forza was the exception. Oh, remember, Redfall? Trash. I'm just thinking of games that I was thinking of from Microsoft Studios. Now, conversely, when you think about it and matched up to like the PlayStation Plus, think about the PlayStation titles that actually landed. God of War did just fine. Days Gone did just fine. Uncharted has always been fire, and they need another one of those.
Last of Us was so-so.
Last of Us was cool, but they're always going to be cool. Returnal was cool. Returnal, actually, to be honest with you, did really great. Astrobot, Game of the Year. Think about that. Even like Sony's baby title in Astrobot was Game of the Year, which tells you that if Sony could throw all these little first party titles out, and every single one of those games mentioned was in conversation for Game of the Year. Returnal, conversation for Game of the Year. Astrobot got Game of the Year. God of War is always in Game of the Year conversations every single time it lands. Uncharted, same conversation. Last of Us, same conversation. They all were in conversation for Game of the Year. When you look at the listing from side to side, there shouldn't be a world where Microsoft's titles should not be in contention for Game of the Year. There was no reason that Starfield shouldn't have made it, but it didn't. Even though they fixed a lot of it, but it still didn't make Game of the Year billing. Halo. No reason why it shouldn't have been a top flight shooter rivaling every other shooter that it has. Here's the problem that you have with Game Pass. The games that people play on Game Pass, realistically, are not the AAAs. You know what they play?
What?
All the small little independent titles. Think about that. When we played Ninja Turtles, Game Pass. Great game, by the way. Independent. What else? What are all the other independent small baby titles? All the card shop simulator games, the shopping simulator, that stuff gets played. Slay the Spire's on there. Silksong. All these titles are like considered to be independent teams, and those are the games that are getting run on Game Pass, not your AAA, and that's a huge problem. I'm not saying they're not getting played at all, but not to the feverish pitch that it should be. Now, shout out to Asuka, who dropped the price of it, who's her first duty was fix Game Pass, and she basically fixed it in a month span. Yeah, we're just gonna drop the pass. I'm good.
Now, I want to say this about her, because, before she got officially into her position, a lot of people were clowning on her, because, let's face it, Xbox was not doing well, and it's still in a pretty rough position as we speak. But with her at the helm, things may be better for them than we initially thought. Now, I could be eating these words in a couple months. Who knows? Nobody knows, not even I. But from this single move alone, making Game Pass more affordable, lowering the prices, something that is almost unheard of in this day and age with all the just price hikes for everything. I mean, hey, let's throw another $100 on the PS5. Now it's $800.
Well, yeah, no, so that's part of the conversation. And this is how smart I think she really was. Because, like we had discussed before, Asuka's a numbers person. So when she was the helm of, what was it, the VR side? Or I forgot what she was on the other side. She was just all about numbers and, streamlining everything. This particular move put so much pressure on Sony. Because Sony, you know what they were going to do? They were going to shoot up PlayStation Plus to $30. Because they were like, well, Microsoft's running at $30 and they kind of withstood it. I like that. PlayStation was going to match up. PlayStation now has to sit there and really think about, we just moved up the price of our consoles. We moved up the price of the handheld. Now we were thinking about moving up the price for the PlayStation Plus, but Microsoft said nope. We're gonna keep our prices as is. We're gonna drop the prices of the Game Pass, and now we're gonna put it in a position where now Sony has to think about it.
Well, yeah, because when you lower your own prices, you force your competitors to have to look at themselves. It's the type of competition that benefits the consumer in a way, because, I mean, let's face it, if PlayStation hardware is going to go up in price, then something has to give. Preferably subscriptions or networks or whatever. Mm-hmm. That stuff should go down in price if this hardware is going to be so damn expensive.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, because
you got poor fools out there taking loans to buy a PS5. Not that you should ever do that. Don't ever take a loan to buy entertainment, but still. I mean, they
got people just getting credit cards just to get PS5s, like, for real.
Which is atrocious.
Which is crazy, because you got to remember, when PlayStations weren't even available when they first was launching, because they were in COVID era, and
oh my gosh, that's how old it is.
Yes, it was in COVID era, and they were hard to find, and people were paying obscene amounts of money just to get their hands on it. Remember, they were paying like $1,000, $1,200 just to get their hands on a PlayStation.
Scalpers, yeah.
Just to flip this around and get to the point where the consoles are like $700. Kind of high. Now, normally in console generations, throughout the years, they normally go down. But in this instance, they actually been going up, which is crazy, by the way. So, every company will say, well, it's because of we don't have access to the materials to make it. It costs more, so we have to put the price on the consumer. This is the first time in any console generation where they really put the price on the consumer to eat the cost of the console. Normally, companies will be like, well, we'll just downplay it. We'll just eat the cost, still lower the price, and we'll figure out the rest as we go along. Same thing with the games. Games were $60. Now they're an average of $70 now. Now, we haven't seen too many $70 and $80 games pull out the mix. We had a couple of $80 games, but they kind of got off that really fast. You had a couple of $70 games, not too many of them. It's kind of been sitting at the 60 to 70 range currently. And they're really going to have to start considering that. Like, are they going to bring down the price of the games themselves? Because those aren't really flying off the shelves as it should be.
Well, you think with all the digital content they're pushing nowadays, especially with their subscription services, I am surprised they're still producing physical media. If they were worried about production costs, you think that'd be the first thing they would pretty much get rid of, instead of increasing the price of their hardware. Now, granted, physical media is important. I think physical media is superior to digital media in practically every regard. But the problem is nowadays, even if you have a physical disc, you still require an online presence in order to even use it.
Yep.
Basically, games are less on the disc, and that disc is more of just a key to access the game online.
That is correct.
Which is, you might as well just buy it online.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that, I mean, all production costs money, no matter how you cut it.
Mm-hmm.
From just making the cases, the printing the paper. I mean, every little thing costs money. So if it was really about money, I would assume that would be the first thing to go, because I don't really think people are buying them off the shelves like that, like they used to. I could be absolutely wrong about that, but
no, I mean, here's the part where you're not wrong. So they leverage the physical copy cost to leverage the pricing of the digital copies. What do I mean by that? Because
What do you mean by that?
So the physical copies, when you go through the production costs, it costs to make the disc, costs to make the case, costs to make all the materials to put out the physical copy on the game for it to sit on the shelf. That's why they put that price point at $70. So if you stripped all that away and say, look, can I just download the game? Shouldn't the game be cheaper because you're not paying for the disc cost, the paper cost, the plastic cost, the cost to ship it, the cost to negotiate with each retail store to put it on their shelves and all this stuff? You have to negotiate all that.
I'm going to stop you right there. You're making too much sense.
I know. No. I know I'm making great sense right now. But in theory, the digital copy should
be cheaper.
Be at least...
I don't care if it's like $2.
It should at least be $10 to $20 cheaper. But what do I mean? I know I'm giving out secrets, but pardon me, game company, y'all got to be mad at me. What they're doing is leveraging the physical cost of making the game and leveraging it to put a cost on the digital copy of the game, knowing that they cannot have two separate price points for each, because if they did, they would never sell a physical copy. They would only sell digital copies. But the reason why they put them at the same price point is that they know that if we set this at a high mark, people will buy it regardless, because they'll see in the store, oh, it's $70 in the store, $70 on the digital space. It's the same money no matter consumer's going to buy it. Fine. Buying it from a digital space basically frees up, out of your $70 game, $30 of it is free money to them.
Yeah.
$30 is free money, because you got to remember, that's the cost of making a disc, making a plastic, making the artwork, negotiating with your GameStops, Targets, Walmarts, and otherwise to get it into the stores. It's a $30 differential. So your game that you're normally paying $70 for is really a $40 game, which goes into why independent gaming is smacking these AAA games out the mark. We're going to talk about that on a different show. Don't worry about that. We're going to get there in a little bit. But I want to address it from a Game Pass point of view, because from a Game Pass perspective, what they do is, we're going to round up a good portion of our games and put them in one big space and say, look, we'll put a blanket number against it. And that blanket number, at first was $30. Now it's $20. Now think about that. $20 a month, and you have access to what? There's about 400 games on Game Pass currently?
Roughly.
Give or take, independents plus majors. So think about that. If you gave me a composite and $20 a month is the going number for that catalog, including your AAAs, including EA Sports games, which are $70 in their own right, including the Ubisoft games for a good portion of them, which are, even the boo-boo ones are still sitting at like $40 a pop. You put this composite thing, tell me it's $20 a month. So across a year, what's that? $120, $140? I don't remember. My math's up. $240, something like that. For the year. $240 a year is only 3 physical copy games, maybe 4. Yeah. 3.5. We'll say 4 just for, because I got old man math. So we'll say 4 games.
So we'll just say you got one on Black Friday.
Yeah. 4 games. Think about that. 4 full titles, and you mean to tell me those 4 titles is the equivalent of the 200 that you're giving to me, and part of that mix is games that are $70 on the shelf, and I could play it on Game Pass for, in essence, $20.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm tired of playing it, I don't have to play it anymore and not even have to worry about it, but I need to revisit it 2 years, 3 years from now. I can still have it unless they pull it.
I will say this. I think it's still kind of a whack, if you will, where if you're playing a game on Game Pass and then you so happen to really like that game and you buy the DLC for that game, right? You still don't own the game. If you buy the DLC, you own the DLC, but you don't own the game. The game is still on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have to buy it full price. So if that Game Pass subscription is canceled or not renewed, you can't play that game no matter how much you spent on DLC or whatever, right? Which I think is pretty whack, because you would think where if you were dropping money for the DLC of the game, that the game inevitably should become just a little bit cheaper if you're willing to invest into it that much. But then again, some would say, well, if you're going to invest that much into it, why not just buy it outright? It seems kind of double-minded, if you will.
Xbox. Well, to answer that question, I know Xbox, when a game is getting ready to get pulled, on the month, they'll tell you ahead of time. Well, let's say I'm just going to use Gears. Let's say Gears get pulled. Gears 1's getting pulled. We'll put it on the digital marketplace at a 20% discount. Normally it's between 15 and 20% off. So the game is $60. We're gonna pull it. We'll get it to you for like $45, somewhere in that area, which is cool. But here's the problem: you didn't invest it all the time. You probably ran through all that DLC one go round anyway. So you probably played more in DLC than you did in the actual, game that you would have bought it outright, because DLC costs almost half, it's almost cost half of a game anyway at this point. $20, $30 for DLC, talk Cyberpunk, how much was that DLC? $25, $30 for that DLC?
Yeah, I think so. It
was great. Don't get it wrong. Not saying it wasn't worth it, but it still was like half, still was like half a game. But in that instance, I know it kind of changed fundamentally how the game played. But in the same conversation piece, they still should make the DLC match up to what Game Pass is. But that's why I said they leverage what the money is in regards to the physical copies of the game versus what the digital space is. This is why gaming is still very much a viable moneymaker, no matter what people say. People ain't playing games that much. People ain't buying games that much. I would beg to differ. I just think there's a lot of people sitting on Game Pass. I think there's a lot of people sitting on PlayStation Plus. They're utilizing it in a very good way. Xbox bringing the price down helps a lot.
Because here's the thing.
But people still gaming. I still see people buying physical copies of games all the time.
Like, here's the thing. People want to game. People want to spend money on video games. They want to buy consoles. They want to buy video games. They just don't want to spend all that money, which is understandable. It shouldn't be this expensive. It should not be a quote-unquote luxury item, because for the last 20-plus years, it wasn't like this. Gaming was even for the poorest of the poor. I mean, even if they were playing on a last-generation console, they'd still be able to play games.
You know what? But I would actually question that, but that's for a different conversation.
Well, my point being is simply this, is that all people really want is just reasonable prices and good quality products. I'm not even talking about AAA anymore, because, let's face it, AAA just stands for absolute, astounding ass. I don't know. I tried. But
he hit it with a double A. He did it with the attitude adjustment. It's cool.
But in all seriousness, people just want quality products. I know I do. I would love to support things that are good. I would love to help things that are doing excellent. I'd love to see them thrive. I want success in the entertainment that I enjoy. I want it to be good. I don't want more marathons. I don't want more high guards. I don't want more Concords. I don't want more all these other failing games. I want good stuff. I want stuff to last. I don't want it to just die a pathetic death in the gutter. That's just sad. But yeah, okay, let's look at this game that's doing really well right now. Is Mouse PI, right? The cartoony first-person shooter where you play as a mouse in a mouse world. It's something so incredibly simple, but it's incredibly fun, and it's what people want.
And so I'll let you jump in. Just give people a little bit of context. So if you think about an old school Mickey Mouse cartoon, like the black and white versions of them,
yeah,
and gave it some, instead of it being like goofy and all this stuff, but give it some like detective work with guns and all that stuff. That's what Mouse PI is.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Steamboat Willie meets L.A. Noire.
There you go.
It's great. It works. It's really memorable, and it's really enjoyable. And I would recommend it to everybody listening, because it's an affordable game and it's a fun game.
Yeah. So
that's the kind of stuff people want.
That's a good point. How much is that game? $30. $30 for that game. Yeah. No, it's 30 at last look.
Yeah.
$30 for that particular game, which, crazy enough, shout out to IGN, who reviewed it terribly, but you also review Crimson Desert terribly too.
Well, you know what they say, you can't spell IGN without, you can't spell ignorant without
You got
IGN.
IGN of yeah, buddy. Now, saying that, $30 for that game was very good, much better reviewed, from players, actual players. People who actually played the game know that game is probably a solid 8, like for real.
Yes.
We ain't saying it's a 10. We ain't perfect.
Oh no, not at all.
It's still short. It still has its flaws, but it's an 8. It ain't no 6. Get it right. But for $30 for that game, that's the price that game should land. And even then, there's no physical copies of the game. It's just digital. So you telling me for what was 15 hours of content, give or take. That's if you just ran it straight through. If you played to do all the achievements and stuff, maybe about 25 to 30.
Yeah.
$30 for 30 hours of content.
Roughly $1 an hour.
Think about that. $1 an hour. That's where kind of these games are. And you got to think about these, I understand Crimson Desert, a little bit more money. They had a lot more effort that went into Crimson Desert. Shout out to the boys. That game might mess around and fall into a game of the year conversation.
Possibly.
Yeah, might be. There's just a lot of games to come out, but it might fall in there because we're halfway through and ain't nothing showed up that's going to catch it.
It's got some glaring flaws, but it's no 6.
No, it's not that. But I know Resident Evil is probably the front runner right now. Crimson Desert, Slay the Spire might get a nod because it is actually really good.
Oh,
so
can't forget the recent release of what's it called? Paranama?
Oh, Pragmata.
Pragmata
might get some run too. Pragmata looks really good. It's really sharp.
Dude, Pragmata, it's the classic story of, a dude becoming a father because, somebody's got to raise his kid.
True indeed.
And I mean, it's actually making people want to have kids, which is, I think, that's great. Kids are great. Kids are wonderful. Kids are a blessing. It's a shame that we live in a society that despises them.
This is a game.
That's a whole different conversation.
I know that's a game that we could literally talk 30 minutes strictly on that game, and I haven't even given it much run yet. But I could tell you just from what I saw and from the few moments I played, I could tell you 30 minutes just on that alone. But we will get to that at some point down the line. As far as on the channel, we're gonna probably be playing some games, reviewing them. It's we'll sit here and have this conversation like we have, review them. Yes, we are going to have Paul review with us and get into this in the mix as well. Don't think we ISOing him and he ain't gonna be back here talking as well.
No, like we said, he's a busy man. He's making his stuff happen.
So we
respect him.
We got a lot of, like I said, we got a lot of things running. But the one thing I will finalize with this. Smart from Microsoft to reset the boundaries with Game Pass. Very smart. I will give them a lot of credit for doing that. Now, their next follow-up conversation has to be 2 pieces. One, they need to figure out what they're doing with their gaming studios to make this worthwhile. This only works if you can get some of your AAA titles to be better or get some newer AAA titles that are going to land. Now, they are working on Starfield. Great. Yes, I know you have all those classic games under your library, your League of Legends, all that stuff. That's going to do fine no matter what you do. But you got to get another Halo or something in that realm to land. Bethesda's got to give you something else. They got to give you something else.
Bethesda's got to pull its head out of its ass.
They got to find something. They got to find something. You got to maybe start considering maybe dropping a Spyro. You may want to, I'm be honest with you. You may want to start considering Guitar Hero. I'm going to be honest with you. Bringing back something like that may help y'all.
That would have a legit reason for physical media.
And that alone, if you told me you're bringing back Guitar Hero and you're going to bring back the accessories and y'all going to try to run it one more again, in which this will be a good space because y'all been so far removed from it and y'all run it back, y'all might have something.
Thinking about it, I mean, I think Guitar Hero would have a greater chance of success than we might assume because, let's face it, right now with how popular VR is.
Absolutely.
I can easily see Guitar Hero having a supportive VR mode right?
Yes, where you could like have
Easy.
yourself in there and actually holding the controller, and oh my god, actually, that is something y'all really should consider.
Or at the least Rock Band or something. Bring some of these things back. These are great.
Rock Band is, that's EA's thing, and EA need to consider Rock Band too.
I know you miss DJ Hero.
Oh my god, I sure do. I do. I still have my OG stuff in the. It's still on my gaming shelf. Don't get it messed up. I can still pull that joker out and play right now, and I'm still nice. Don't get it messed up. But Guitar Hero would help Microsoft a lot because it's in their library of stuff that they're just sitting on that they don't know what to do with yet. But let's say you don't want to deal with one of them. I know y'all still gobbling up teams. I just saw the ID at Xbox. That was good. I just saw the independent game showcase before pulling up right now to talk with Vic. That looks fire. And they've been gobbling up some of them independents. Now, here's a problem with gobbling up independents. You're going to make these independent teams not so independent. So I hope that they don't mess up their formula as far as like still kicking out these good games, because there's a lot of good ones coming out. I promise you. We may talk about that one in a couple of days from. Well, maybe we'll sit down, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday next week. I'll let Vic take a look at the showcase over the weekend, and then we may spin the block and talk about this. Maybe on the regular podcast, but we're definitely going to sit down for sure and talk about it, next week, because it's a lot of good stuff. A lot of it's on, there's a lot of demos that's available. There's a lot of games that you could get on your hands right now. It's really good. But give Microsoft a lot of props for dropping the Game Pass price. Sony, you're going to have to kind of start really thinking about what y'all doing as far as like, this money conversation. Y'all may have to think about, keeping PlayStation Plus exactly where it is. I don't think y'all can move it now because y'all were sitting at like $20. Y'all can't move it to 25. Y'all can't move it to 30. You kind of have to stay put now because if Microsoft's basically saying we're reverting to staying put, y'all gonna have to kind of stay put too. If y'all move up the price, y'all lose all the momentum, even with your library probably sitting on the better first party games.
It'd still be a fumble.
It will be a fumble because you're already semi-fumbling this console portion of things right now. So y'all kind of have to figure this out too, because at some point y'all gonna have to match up to what the consumers really want out of gaming. And keep in mind, gaming is still viable, but it could very much not be viable, especially on consoles. It could easily shift and everything kind of run through Steam and Epic and it's wraps. Because if it starts running through there, it's over for consoles. All people are going to start doing is just getting PCs. So everybody's kind of transitioning to start doing that anyway. To keep the console momentum alive, y'all going to have to really consider doing this, because y'all can easily, Sony and Microsoft can easily be out of the console space and say, look, we ain't doing consoles anymore, and just basically running everything through computer and keeping it all the way moving. So you'll basically take all these companies that are like console companies and making them basically third party companies for like the computer. Yeah. We just don't want to go down that road, because I think consoles still have a very viable option. And if Nintendo could find a way to make all this work, and we didn't even address Nintendo in this conversation at all, if they can make this work, Microsoft and Sony should definitely be able to make this work.
I think that it's looking a little brighter for the gaming future.
Indeed.
Hopefully it is. I mean, like I said, I want quality products. I want reasonable prices. I want good stuff. It's not that I don't want gaming. It's just I don't want crap, dude.
Exactly.
Not only is my money finite, so is my time. I don't want to waste my time playing things that are ass. I don't want to waste time playing things that suck. I want to play games that are memorable, good, and fun. That doesn't even mean that they're long. I would gladly play an astonishingly fun 2-hour game over an 1,000-hour mediocrity.
Oh, I told you. I'll tell you. I will end it with this. What you been playing as of late?
See, right now I've been giving Battlefield 6 some rerun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine. It's okay. It's even a little bit fun. My biggest gripe with it, though, is that they're only now, the people behind it, DICE Studio. My only gripe is that now they're trying to actually make a Battlefield game, because for a moment there, since launch, they've been fumbling so bad. They didn't know their own identity. They were doing all these stupid random things, like a Red Bull themed racing event in the game about my military shooter. You know, I mean, it sounds fun and goofy, I guess, but it's like nobody wants that, and nobody really cares for the battle royale mode or red sect or whatever. People just want a solid Battlefield game, and it's becoming slowly a solid Battlefield game. I think you're fine.
Yeah, make sure that when we get out.
Yeah, you're fine. But you know, hopefully Battlefield increases in quality. I'd like that game to succeed still. It launched great, but it's kind of bottomed out a little bit, and so hopefully that goes well.
Well, it launched great because Call of Duty didn't do great.
True, very true.
It only launched great because Call of Duty allowed it to be. Now, what have I been playing? Slay the Spire 1 and 2. Why?
Okay.
Because I think, one, I want to see what the hype was. Was it better? It was 2 better than 1, and it is. Both of which is fire. Yes, it is Game of the Year material, even though it's an independent. It is Game of the Year material. The reason why I said it's important is because these are the games that everybody's been playing. Slay the Spire's been getting a lot of run. Mouse PI's been getting a lot of run. I'm trying to think of other games, like other independent. There's a lot of independent games. The one game, what's that new pirate game real quick? Windrose? I think that's the new one.
I think.
Where you start on the island, you got a little bonfire, you build your ship. I think it's called Windrose. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. But I think that's the game, and that game has been catching a lot of traction right now. It makes Ubisoft look really bad when they had Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, Skull and Bones, and still couldn't put out a good pirate game to save their life. Windrose comes out and do everything that you're supposed to do and basically make Ubisoft look super. You can't, Ubisoft built Skull and Bones as a AAA. And it was okay-ish at best. Windrose, right?
No, I ain't gonna let them forget this. Remember that was the first game they called Skull and Bones Quadruple A. That was the first game.
Factual. That's factual.
I'm not letting them forget that.
Yeah. So, Ubi, come on now. Come on. You can't say that you have the masterpiece game and this game Windrose come out. I know, granted, years later, but they took every single concept that y'all had.
Masterpiece, more like ass and pieces, man. That game.
They took every concept y'all had in Assassin's Creed 4, Skull and Bones, put all of it together, made it a builder, and said, look, man, Windrose is really good. Really good. The only reason why I'm not trying to sit down with that game right now, because I'm not trying to sit down with that type of game, because that's the type of game that will take up some time. But it's well worth the bread.
I'll say that. I'll never let them forget. And stupid Skull and Bones. Yeah, the first quadruple game ever. your boat that's an inanimate object that's not alive. Your boat had a stamina bar.
Quadruple A game. I forgot about that. That's funny.
They were clowns on that. Ubisoft is full of clowns.
Man, all right, man.
It's a damn circus.
Down the line, when we start doing more of the gaming content, I promise you we'll break down Microsoft thoroughly. We're gonna break down Ubi. We're gonna break down EA. We're gonna talk about Rockstar probably on the next podcast when we sit down to do this. We're gonna talk about GTA 6 and how it has the highest bar set for it and probably the highest responsibility of any game that's going to be out right now. But
also, remember, dear viewer, never pledge any allegiance to any company, no matter what, because ultimately, it's just a company. You can like it, you can even enjoy it, but don't ever love it, because it'll never love you. True
indeed. No truer words spoken. Well, besides that, we gotta get up out of here. This boy gotta get to work in a little bit. I gotta get to work right now. My boy Peebo, shout out to my dog Paul. He's in spirit with us, but he at the job right now. So we'll have him on the deck. We'll be outside Sunday afternoon, of course. So
God willing.
Look forward to that. We got that dropping. We're gonna drop this down in a couple of hours. Hopefully, we're gonna have this one down.
Yeah, do get used to these smaller segments where it may just involve two of us, whether it's just me and Paul or Cam and Paul or me and Cam again, it don't matter, because there are times we're not all available, but we want to start getting content to you more often and more ready available, and talk about, as always, as everything current and everything near and far. We just want to, engage with our people. Whoever you are, thank you for being our people.
Yeah, and first and foremost, and I forgot to even say this, first and foremost, shout out to every single subscriber who's been rocking along with us. Shout out to every viewer who's been rocking along with us, whether religiously or in passing. We appreciate each and every one of y'all supporting us. Like I said, we got a lot of things that we're working on right now. Shout out to all of our affiliates, of course. And yeah, man, you know how we do. For my man Vic, shout out to my dog Paul, who's in the trenches. My name is Cam, aka Nerd Boy Fresh.
Freaky.
Like always, it is God above everything. Till next time, family, we will do this again soon. Salute.